He said, I don't want to get caught in a guillotine. So I said, well, you're going to get a guillotine now. If you want, maybe you prefer to just get on top, okay? So anytime you want, you can just take this underhook here. Right, we're framing on his arm, pushing and pulling. I don't know what he's doing with his arm, but pretty much always, I can just take this underhook. Okay, I'm gonna bridge. If you want, you can take this leg and step through. Boom, come up on top. Okay? Even if he turns with me a little bit, it's okay. So if I start bridging and I'm like super lazy about my bridge and I'm just kind of rolling over, he can turn on his side also. No big deal. I have an underhook. I can just bulldoze him right back down. This is cow catcher wrestling, right? You hook them, and a lot of times if you're wrestling and you get this position, you just kind of run it. Cow catcher. So even if he gets up on his side with me, because you have this underhook, we can just fold his head and put him right back down. Boom. You have to say boom or it doesn't work. Okay? So what I always try to do when I get in this situation, I try to open my hand and grab my chest and I bring my hip back to his body. I want to sit my hip on his abdomen or close to his hip. Okay? And I'm going to slowly roll my shoulder and try to bring my elbow to my hip. Okay, slowly. If not, it's okay, you can let it go, no problem. Take side control, get a good smash, you on belly. Okay, so maybe I'm here.
Luke, when was the first BJJ Escapes camp that you ran?
That's an excellent question. It was probably just only about 12 months ago, so this is only a very new business, but say 12 to 18 months ago we had Pasha Stolia come and host a weekend retreat up in Early Beach. At the time it was in Early Beach, that's where I was living with my family, and if anyone knows anything about Early Beach, it's the gateway to the Great Barrier Reef. It's a really popular tourism hub, and yeah, I thought it was an excellent spot to run a jiu-jitsu camp.
Yeah, so where did that idea come from?
The idea of jiu-jitsu camps?
Yeah.
I'd always kind of been in the travel sort of scene. I travelled a lot when I was in my 20s. My family owned a travel company, so it's kind of I've always loved that sort of aspect of going around, seeing new places, meeting new people. Couple that with my addiction to jiu-jitsu, I had sort of like an urge to sort of want to start training with newer people, different coaches, and just seeing different styles of jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I kind of had the idea, and I've seen other camps before, like internationally, and other examples of events, and I thought, oh, I could do something like that. A great way to sort of meet new people and put something together. So I did, and yeah, there's actually a funny story. How the first one started. Do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah.
So I've been talking about this business and this idea for quite some time with my family. My wife, she probably heard enough about it without me sort of just talking about it. She's like, oh, we'll do something about it. And then I'd also spoken to my mum, the same sort of thing. So after about probably 6 months of pondering this idea and my mum having enough heard about it, I was away at work, and she emailed me and sent me 15 room reservations. And I called her straight away. I said, hey, what's this? And you sent this to me incorrectly. And she's like, no, these are 15 rooms that I booked for you to run your camp. It's all now paid in full. Make it work.
Wow.
And I absolutely shit myself.
Wow.
Because 15 rooms, full pay, that's a lot of money. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to fail her. And yeah, so I got to work on making that happen. And that's how the first camp came about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was the one with Pasha in
Yes.
Whitsundays?
Yeah.
And how many have you ran since then?
I've run, this will be my fourth.
Yeah.
First international camp here in Thailand. But yeah, I've run 3 in Early Beach region, and now expanding internationally, Thailand, and looking to take this thing as far as I can.
Yeah. It was always a goal to do international, but with the pandemic maybe slowed things like
Yeah,
with
for
international.
sure, for sure. I wanted to build also kind of, you know, this is very new to me. So I kind of wanted to build my confidence as running an event, make sure I kind of had it down pat and a good understanding of what needed to happen before I take on a project too big.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the idea has always been to sort of, well, the idea and the kind of like fulfillment idea behind that is like, yeah, I'd love to take this full time.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that, yeah, taking things internationally and building year on year is definitely my aim.
Okay, it can be quite difficult. The more you sprawl, the more his hook will be unwrapped. It's not going to happen on one side. You're going to have to throw 3, 4, 5 times it. Nothing comes easy, huh? When you watch my coach do it, he just like sits there. He'll do it times before he gets it. And when he gets it, boop, boop, boop. So, if you can't get the hand on the body, or you can't get the head to the outside, this is what we're going to do. We're going to post, sprawl, kick, and sit. Okay? Then, step over the knee. Okay? And you have a free pass, which we're 100% happy. So I can hug his head, or I can go under the arm and hug the head this way. Then back step. And what's he going to do? Can't turn into me. I can even go like this. Back step, and there's the guard pass. Done. Or pass, and just step over now. So, what I want you guys to do is like this. Kick stand, jaw, this to the right, step over the knee, and then good. You hug the head this way, you throw it over, or, I don't know, if this arm is up high enough and you can get under it, okay? So probably the most important thing is just get on one of them.
What's been your biggest highlight of all the camps so far?
Ooh, biggest highlight of all the camps. I can't, actually, yeah. So just here, just the other day, like we're here in Thailand and there's a lot of high level people coming through, VIPs, MMA world, Jiu-Jitsu world, everything. So Weili from the UFC, the champion, I was honoured by her presence at our camp. She had a request to join in and I was much obliging. It was excellent. So I got to have some great roles with her and she choked me to death. So it was excellent. So I'd say that's definitely one of the highlights. Aside from that, just meeting new people, like each group has gotten bigger. The relationships that have been sort of formed during that week have been great, and like I'm just meeting new people. Everyone's meeting each other for the first time, or if you're a regular, you know, you've kind of come across each other before. I really like, once a camp's finished, I really like sort of seeing that consistent interaction between the participants. So like say on social media is a good example, like say someone gets a promotion to the next belt level who was on like a camp just recently, and then I see other participants from that camp congratulating them, continuing that dialogue and that friendship essentially. I really enjoy seeing that. It's probably a big highlight.
Yeah, it is like one of the, as a participant, one of the things that stands out for me is like you spend a week training with people, you know, at the start of the camp, you don't know each other, and then sort of like everyone's exchanging phone numbers and Instagrams and stuff to keep in contact, and inviting each other to each other's gyms, and you just form like really strong friendships, because I think you spend so much time training and then socializing outside, and so that's like, it's such a, you know, like a cool experience. Because I know, having recently moved to the Gold Coast, doing the Whit Sundays camp with you guys with VC, and really only hearing about BJJ Escapes because VC was going to be coaching on that one, and I was training with him at the time. But then forming so many friendships that like I still have now from that camp. You know, it's a really special thing. Yeah,
it's a great way, like jiu-jitsu, it breaks down so many barriers so quickly. Like it's like it's a melting pot, right? Because you're so up close and intimate with a person when you're rolling and training together. It you get familiar very quickly, and then you throw that into an environment where we're training multiple times a day, several days on end. It's a great way to sort of meet people, form new friendships, and go from there. Even as well, business networking, like that's been something I never anticipated coming from this, but there are a lot of people who are either business owners or in management or entrepreneurial skills, and meeting each other and other people, and it's just really cool. Other aspect that I never imagined would happen.
Cool. So what's on the horizon? Like, what are you planning for BJJ Escapes in the next, say, 12 months or 2 years?
So, as I said before, I want to take this full time, and to be able to facilitate that, I need to run a few more camps. I want to get a bit of a roster happening where, say, like we're here in Thailand right now. I'd like to sort of project, say, a 12-month trip, an annual trip to Thailand, and do that with a few other hubs around Asia Pacific and international and domestic. So I have a full-time job. I'm a firefighter in the mining industry, and I've been very fortunate to have that job. I'm looking to progress away from that, however, this is now kind of taken my focus. Like what more could you ask for, really? Training and meeting new people and traveling all over the world. So this is my focus, and I'm aiming to build this up as much as I can, run camps on a consistent basis annually, and just keep building from there.
And what's the next camp that you're running?
So at the moment it's in planning. We have Bali coming up, and that is earmarked for September. I'm just waiting on confirming some stuff with the resort prior to putting that out for sale to the public, but that should be done within a week's time. I'm heading to Bali on the way home from here. Quick stop in and just double checking a few things before I commit to selling that to the public. But Bali, and I can confirm that the host for that is Yuri Simoes, who's obviously just killed it in ADCC, the absolute champion, and you'll have the super fight with Gordon Ryan at next ADCC.
Cool. And what actually got you into jiu-jitsu in the first place? Like, how did that start? How did that come about?
So I've been training for about 5 years now, so not very long. But I first heard about jiu-jitsu via probably like a lot of people via some podcasts. So Joe Rogan obviously was one, but he wasn't the instrumental one. I'm a big fan of Jocko Willink. A lot of people I'm sure are familiar with him, but he's an ex-Navy SEAL commander and just a deadly looking bloke. So I've been listening to a podcast of his, it's all about leadership, and I was kind of in a leadership role in my full-time job at the time. And he was talking very highly of jiu-jitsu and its applicability to life and life skills and all that. So that was the stimulus to really get into it. I was fortunate as well where I worked. There was like a community-based group, and they were training out of the PCYC. They just basically pulled the mats out of the evening. We trained and then put them away, ready for the basketball guys to kick on. So, yeah, that's Vice Jiu-Jitsu in Moranbah. So big shout out to those guys. That was the start of my jiu-jitsu journey. So Danny Borg was at the time running that club, and yeah, so I started there and progressed from there. And I travelled quite a bit with my work and with this business. So yeah, I'm fortunate enough to get to go train and meet a lot of people at different gyms. I get a lot of exposure to different styles and techniques. So yeah, but Jocko Willink was the person who first got me into it.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you manage? Oh, he's coming to Australia to do it.
He was.
Yeah,
he cancelled, unfortunately. So I did buy a ticket straight away as soon as I found out he was coming, but unfortunately, I'm not sure what the reason is, but he had to cancel, and he'll come again at a later date, and whenever that date is, I'll be there.
You'll be there.
Yeah. I'll be like, hey, you got me into jiu-jitsu, and now, because of that, this whole thing now has
Maybe you
started.
run a camp at his gym sometime.
I'd love for him to host a camp one
that'd
day.
be cool.
So I don't know if he'd be interested. He's a busy bloke, but yeah, no, that would be amazing.
So, like, run us through. Like, it's obviously we're here in Thailand, and the last 7 days with Josh Hinger. Like, what's been 3 of the biggest takeaways for you from this camp with him at the moment?
So Josh is an absolute professional. I've got nothing but praise for him and great things to say. Just working with him, even in the lead up to this event, like, he's a very busy person. He's a professional athlete. So just communication with him has been great. So that's one, not a takeaway, but one thing, one compliment I'd like to say. Like, it's been nothing but a professional person to work with. Takeaways from this event. Pause. Put me on the spot. Takeaways.
Like, each day, was there like a key moment for you where you're like, oh shit, you know, like a light bulb moment, or something that you can see that you implement into your games straight away? Or
Yeah, for sure. So I'm kind of one of those people who, you probably get this at every gym, right? There's like, you got the drilling component and the technique component. I'm like the guy who's just like, yeah, can we just roll? Like, I just like that, the output, the scramble and all that. It's more like a payoff for me rather than a learning a skill. And I suppose I have in my mind that the more I do it, the better I'll get, but I don't know. But this week with Josh, because Josh is so good with his instruction, and he can break it down to as simple as you need. Like, I'm a pretty simple person, so I absorbed a lot of his teachings quite quickly, and then not only through him sort of teaching it, but then we got to implement it through our, like, the live drilling and all that. So yeah, there was so many good techniques. I was saying to Gabby just before that, because I'd been on an event with Josh previously, some of the techniques he showed me I've implemented at home, and yeah, they work great. So not only did he show them and I absorbed them, but I've retained them over time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think as well, like, getting the opportunity to roll with him him use the techniques that he's taught you that day against you is like something like a cool experience as well, because you're like, you just learnt that thing, you fully aware what he's going to do, and you still can't stop it. So I think that's really cool to see too, because you can see that the techniques, like, they work, how it feels as well. I think sometimes you learn techniques and then you don't quite have it right, but when you get to experience like him using that technique with like so much precision and just like this slight change of angles and things like that, and how effective it is. It's like, oh, okay, like, if I keep working on this, then it's going to work for me too.
Even on the outside looking in, right? Like, I sat out a few rounds and I was watching, and like, even him and you, right? I could see him setting you up for these things. I'm like, oh, I know what's coming. He just showed us this. So yeah, like, you obviously in the moment know probably it's coming, but from the outside looking in, I can see it coming. I'm like, yeah, that's what he just showed us. It works. So, it was awesome.
One of the comments that he said, which was quite cool, about mastery. Is like I can't remember exactly, but it was, you know, like it's like the person knows what you're doing, and
they can't do anything to stop it.
anything to stop it. You know? It's like you've set it up so well. You've covered all their kind of plan Bs and Cs, and you've got a plan for that, and you can execute your technique, and it, you know, even if they're aware of what they're doing or what you're doing,
it's still happening.
It's
no
still
matter
happening.
what.
And that was quite cool. Anything else that kind of stood out for you?
The group dynamic was great. Like, I was a bit worried. This is the longest camp that I've had. So this was 7 days, so I was just unaware of how things would unfold. You know, like the group dynamic. How would the group mesh together? How would the techniques go? How would everyone deal with 2-a-day training sessions whilst you're in Thailand when it's hot? You know, so it was great to see that everyone just had a great time. There was so many people that had no idea, like didn't know each other, but then came together and formed great relationships. People from all over the world, which is like a mind-blowing thing for me, because obviously I've just come from Australia. Like, my business was set up in a very small part of Australia, in Queensland. Now we've kind of come to the next sort of the next level, going international, and we've had people come from America, people come from the UK, people come from Europe. Like, it's been just humbling. So a takeaway from there is I'm just really thankful and grateful that, you know, this opportunity was here, and that I can build on this and keep going.
So where can people like find out more? Maybe like keep in the loop for like upcoming camps and things. Like, what's the best way for people to find out about for BJJ Escapes?
Yeah, for sure. So our Instagram page is definitely our most active sort of portal of contact. So like I manage all myself. So like either via Instagram, or we have a website, bjjescapes.com.au. So they're the two forms. And you can get to us via anything, like through those two portals. You can hit us via email and message or whatever. So Instagram and our website.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, man, it's been awesome. Like, I want to say a big thank you for you, because there's been, like, with the Whit Sundays was such a cool trip. Yeah. Getting to meet you for the first time, and a few people that were on this camp as well. And then this trip has been awesome. I know it was your first international event, but it was like smooth sailing. It was so cool. The resort was super convenient, 30 seconds down the road from the training, which made it nice to be able to get home, have a shower, some good food available. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. So
awesome, man. Thank you, and thank you for being a part of it.
I'll definitely be at the next one.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.